Welcome, viewers. We now expose the darkest secret hidden within the pages of ancient history. For ages, we were taught the Third Commandment merely forbids speaking bad words during a sudden shock. But the truth is much darker. It is never about polite words, but a massive religious fraud. Taking his name simply means claiming to represent God while committing acts of extreme cruelty. Prepare to witness how religion became a deadly weapon. The age of holy wars will now begin. We look back at the glorious medieval age, where massive grand cathedrals pierced the cloudy skies. Inside these shining stone walls, powerful men stand on high wooden pulpits, demanding total respect. They wear heavy red velvet robes, embroidered with pure gold, projecting a fake aura of divine light. Thousands of poor followers gather below in the dark shadows, looking up with absolute blind awe. The preacher raises his voice, echoing through the vast empty space, claiming to speak for the Creator. He teaches the masses that the Third Commandment is simply a strict rule about controlling your speech. Generations were told that uttering the Lord's name in surprise or anger is a terrible sin. We reduced the sacred weight of a cosmic law into a basic lesson of daily polite manners. The faithful crowd nods in agreement, terrified of a simple verbal mistake in their daily lives. While they obsess over spoken words, a much larger deception unfolds right before their innocent eyes. The corrupt cleric smiles, knowing his flock is distracted by trivial fears of everyday human speech. He holds up a golden plate, demanding donations to secure their fragile place in holy heaven. Peasants surrender their last copper coins, hoping to buy forgiveness from a greedy religious system. The grand church grows richer by the day, feeding off the blind devotion and deep poverty of the weak. Yet no one dares to question the holy man, because he speaks with the borrowed authority of God. This is the ultimate illusion, where shiny rituals mask the darkest forms of absolute, pure greed. The preacher steps back into the shadows, his face half hidden in darkness as he counts the stolen wealth. His golden rings clink against the metallic coins, a sickening rhythm of religious exploitation. Is this what the ancient text truly meant when they commanded us to never take the holy name in vain? If uttering a bad word is a sin, what do we call a priest who steals from the starving poor? We must look beyond the polished surface and travel back in time to understand the original truth. The dust of history settles, revealing the forgotten origins of this widely misunderstood law. In the ancient Middle East, a wise old scribe sits hunched over a heavy wooden desk in complete silence. His trembling hand carefully traces the Hebrew letters onto a rough parchment scroll by warm candlelight. He writes the famous Third Commandment, a sacred warning that is echoed through thousands of generations. Ancient scholars say the word take carries a much deeper and heavier historical meaning. In Hebrew, the word nasa simply translates to carry, bear, or represent a specific name. It is exactly like an ambassador carrying the authority of his powerful kingdom. Therefore, the law is not about avoiding bad words, but a strict warning against false representation. To take the Lord's name in vain means to claim you belong to Him while living a life of pure deceit. History proved the worst sins were never committed by those who simply abandoned the holy path. Instead, the most ruthless cruelty comes from those who loudly declare themselves as faithful believers. We return to the corrupt priest, who hides behind his velvet robes while exploiting the starving peasants. Every coin he steals from the poor is a direct insult to the loving God he pretends to worship. Outside the grand cathedral walls, a frail woman kneels in a cold, muddy, and dark stone alleyway. She wears torn burlap rags, shivering as she clasps her wrinkled hands in a silent, genuine prayer. This pure believer owns nothing, yet her silent devotion holds more truth than the preacher's loud words. The corrupt priest uses God's name to build earthly power, turning faith into a greedy business. He paints his extreme greed with the golden brush of religion, committing the ultimate blasphemy. This is the exact crime the ancient text warned us about, carrying the name in a worthless manner. When a person claims to be a righteous follower, but acts with malice, they destroy the core of faith. This spiritual fraud poisons innocent minds and completely shatters the trust of humanity. The true danger does not lie in the honest questions of a non-believer, but in the lies of a priest. An atheist simply denies the divine realm, causing no harm to the core religious teachings. But a hypocrite weaponizes the holy doctrine, using God as a shield for earthly crimes. This toxic hypocrisy drives countless people away from the light, leaving them in absolute despair. Seeing the corrupt messengers, they wrongly believe the divine message itself is completely flawed. The Ancient Scribe stops writing, his deep-set eyes staring into the flickering flame of the warm candle. He feels the immense weight of the translated words, knowing mankind will easily distort them. Sadly, history proves him right. The next chapter of our human journey is stained with religious blood. Have you ever witnessed someone using their faith to justify a selfish or harmful action? The scene shifts drastically, from the quiet room to a massive, chaotic, and muddy battlefield. We enter the age of holy wars, where the ultimate blasphemy takes a violent, physical form. Thick smoke rises into the red sky as huge armies march forward under the banner of the divine. Knights clad in heavy, rusted iron armor carry tall spears and torn battle flags covered in dark mud. Their shields proudly display sacred symbols, yet their swords seek out the vital essence of the weak. The fanatic general stands amidst the burning ruins of a once peaceful medieval village. His face contorts in a terrifying roar, his armor reflecting the harsh and brutal firelight. Clutching a holy pendant in his dirty fist, he declares this devastating purge to be God's will. They burn houses, steal precious treasures, and enslave the weak, all while chanting sacred religious verses. This represents the absolute peak of breaking the law, a tragedy repeated throughout history. Amidst the ruins, poor orphans huddle together, faces frozen in absolute terror. They look at the crimson cross on his heavy armor, and they weep at the horrific contradiction. How can a God of pure love and justice endorse such senseless and devastating global destruction? This is how the dark hypocrisy of believers destroys the very roots of pure religion. The true enemy of faith was never science or logic, but the deep corruption of its followers. The real threat is the fanatic stamping a holy seal on his own dark and personal ambitions. By claiming holy approval for their crimes, they make the Creator look like a cruel, violent tyrant. This forces innocent people to turn their backs on faith, seeking peace away from crimson-stained altars. Throughout history, Empires rose and fell, using the Lord's name to justify their ruthless expansions. Millions died on the altar of earthly greed, falsely sold as a divine holy commandment. The thick armor of the general provides no real defense against the harsh judgment of history. We must peel away the shiny gold to see the rotting core of a weaponized earthly religion. Using God as a mask for evil is spiritual treason of the absolute highest order. The true prophets and scribes understood this danger well, which is why the warning was carved in cold stone. We chose to ignore the deep meaning, preferring a simple lie over a challenging moral truth. We reduced a cosmic law of faith into a polite rule for daily human conversations. And so, the world burned while the priests counted their gold, entirely blind to their own impending doom. Let the dark ashes of ruined villages serve as a reminder of the cost of religious fraud. The divine is never mocked. The scales of justice will always balance the weight of these dark sins. As fires of the holy wars die out, a haunting silence falls upon the devastated battlefield. The grand cathedrals remain standing, but their holy foundation has been entirely hollowed out. A faith built on the suffering of the weak is truly nothing but a magnificent hollow shell. The clash is complete. Shallow verbal respect meets the terrifying reality of false action. The scene shifts to a dark void, representing the absolute emptiness of the corrupted soul. The corrupt cleric stands completely alone, stripped of his adoring crowds and his stolen earthly wealth. A single harsh spotlight casts deep, ugly shadows across his terrified and suddenly hollow face. His heavy red robes no longer show authority, but act like a tight and suffocating prison. Without his fake holy image, he is nothing. This is the tragic fate of all who weaponize the name. The law is not about polite words. It is a profound psychological and cosmic warning. It asks, do you truly live by the principles of love and justice that you loudly preach to others? Are you an empty vessel, using a holy title to hide your own personal dark corruption? To break this rule is to turn pure faith into a devastating and massive spiritual fraud. Contrast this darkness with the pure, glowing image of the poor believer who owns nothing but faith. Bathed in a soft, divine light, she feels a transcendent peace that the corrupt cleric will never know. Her pure, silent love proves that real divinity requires no golden temples or heavy crowns. To carry the sacred title, you must actively walk the difficult path of absolute truth. Whoever uses the Creator to steal from the innocent commits a crime of cosmic scale. The third great law stands as an eternal guardian against the darkness of spiritual fraud. So, look closely at the actions of those who loudly proclaim their perfect righteousness today. Do their earthly deeds truly match the divine mercy? Or are they hiding behind a sacred mask? History clearly warns us that a hollow faith will eventually collapse under its own weight. After delivering these harsh, heavy warnings, the Creator gives humanity a strange gift. He suddenly offers a surprising new commandment, asking the weary people to do nothing. Why would taking a mandatory day of rest become a strict law of absolute survival? We will explore this beautiful mystery in our 14th chapter about the Holy Sabbath. Until then, remember that the divine presence is found in quiet actions, not in loud words. Do not allow the golden masks of corrupt leaders to shake the foundation of your pure spirit. Stay vigilant against those who loudly sell salvation while destroying the innocent poor. Let the ancient truth guide your path, exposing the great religious frauds of human history. Only a heart filled with genuine compassion can truly represent the Almighty Creator. The timeless echo of the ancient stone tablets challenges every single soul walking on earth. If wearing the mask of faith for terrible crimes is the greatest sin, what does true belief look like? Does modern religion still suffer from this dark hypocrisy? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more deep historical truths. Thank you so much for watching.